All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. NBA trade season is upon us, and it is not disappointing. We haven't even had the draft yet, and we're talking big moves already. First and foremost, the Bradley Beal trade was essentially extended and expanded. Chris Paul is now a member of the Golden State Warriors, and I believe Mike Dunleavy Jr. Probably hasn't been paying attention to the basketball he's been involved in for the last 35 years of his life. What planet does this make sense? You have a 20-something-year-old guy capable of averaging well over 20 points a game, who is coming off of a disappointing season, no question, but has a lot of ability and his whole career ahead of him. And you're going to trade that guy for a broken down, never was difference maker on a playoff team named Chris Paul, who's probably going to hurt himself just looking at the fact that now there's expectations of him. And now you're going to have a starting lineup where no one is going to be above about 6'8". Their projected lineup, assuming they re-sign Green, is Green at the 5, Wiggins at the 4, and Clay, Steph, and Paul. Who's guarding any guard of any size? I mean, okay, Wiggins, fine, great. But what if Wiggins is preoccupied? Like, let's say they play Boston. Okay, so Wiggins guards Tatum or Brown, pick your guy. And what is Draymond going to guard the other? So what is that going to put Klay Thompson on the center? Like, I mean, this is insane. I mean, I get that Paul is ring chasing, and I understand the Warriors have this love fest with like broken down veterans, but my gosh, Rich, these guys aren't going to be able to defend the station. They're not going to be able to defend the stationary like swatting mechanisms that shooting coaches use. Like,
oh, you're forgetting about Kevon Looney, who's going to start at center.
So are we going to? So
Paul
who's going
to come off the bench?
So okay. So you're going to bench Paul, and you're going to. So he's going to what?
Have to.
I mean, he's going to play caddy for Steph, I guess, right?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, well, we were talking about the other day. Is Paul willing to come off the bench? Or is he going to be a ceremonial starter just like Green? They're going to have 2 ceremonial starters and then play better players more minutes? I don't know. They're going to have to, though. You're right.
Choice.
I mean, you're going to have to. They have no other option. I got to tell you, I'm the biggest takeaway here, though, all jokes aside, I think this leaves a lot to be desired on the Warriors side, but man, they gave out a king's ransom to get this guy. Jordan Poole, straight up for Chris Paul, I would laugh if someone offered me Chris Paul for Jordan Poole. And then on top of that, the Warriors are sending draft compensation. This Ringler guy that is now running the Wizards is already executive of the year. We're barely 2 days into the offseason. He's already executive of the year.
What's the draft compensation?
There were
second round.
No. They were first round picks. They're first round picks, protected.
I saw nothing about that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. This was according to Wojnarowski. I'm going to pull it up again here. But they were first round picks. Here we go. So
2027 second.
And a protected 2030
protected. Yeah, that means nothing.
Oh, it's a first round pick. It could very well.
They may not have a draft by 2030.
What do you mean they won't have a draft? It's not that far away.
I think players are just going to end up going where they want to.
They're always going to have a draft. There's no way they're not going to have a draft. If for no other reason, then the bad teams have to have some kind of competitive edge to get better. There's no, because otherwise everyone would go to the same 3 teams fresh out of high school, college, where, Ignite, wherever they're coming from. No, they'll have a draft. But
and who knows how protected the pick is? If it's a lot,
it's a first round pick. It's a first round pick, even if it's mid round.
If it's a 25th pick in the draft, I wouldn't.
But that's about all Chris Paul is worth right now. And on top of that, you got a ready-made all-star. Like, if they had traded that,
it's making $32 million a year. It did not earn it.
Did Chris Paul earn his pay? He's making about the same. little less.
No, but I agree they should have got more for him.
I mean, I think
But I get trading Poole.
well, I'm not saying he's untradeable, but I'm not trading for a broken down 37-year-old who's just as overpaid and just as likely to underperform. That's my
Well,
point.
that's the part I don't agree with.
And that's the whole point.
I wouldn't have traded for him, but I have no problem with them trading.
No, if Jordan Poole, let's talk about the other big trade for a second. If Jordan Poole was the linchpin that brought back Marcus Smart, then yeah, I would have been down with that 100%. Marcus Smart on the Warriors would be dangerous, by the way. Um,
Yeah,
but that's a great get for Memphis. He's basically Dylan Brooks without the stupidity of trash talking all-time great players.
yes.
And he's better. I mean, this is I have to tell you, as shocked as I am at the amount that Washington got for Chris Paul, a guy that they were probably going to cut if they didn't trade him. I'm more shocked that Boston, of all the people they moved Marcus Smart. He, to me, is the guy that runs that organization in terms of the locker room culture and all of that. To me, he's the glue guy. He's the guy that brings any tenacity they have, especially on defense. I think this is a monumental loss for Boston from a intangible standpoint. Porzingis, I guess you could consider as a better player, certainly a different style of player. It does bring a new punch and dynamic to their offense, which they need. Horford's aging, so I understand it. It's not a awful trade, but I just think there's certain things that you don't just like easily replace, and I think this is a tough one. I know Smart and Stevens have never been buddies though, so this could be a Brad Stevens thing.
Well, not necessarily because they tried to do the trade, and the guard they were going to move was Brogdon.
Because they moved him in another deal, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Oh, that's the deal that got canceled. Right.
Right, because the Clippers said he's not passing a physical with his injury. They then worked at the deal with Memphis and tried to add Brogdon in it, and Memphis said no. We got to have Smart. So if Brogdon's not tradable at this point, you have to move a guard. I wouldn't have wanted to have moved Smart because of everything you said. He is important in that locker room. You have two stars that both think they're number ones.
Mm-hmm.
Smart was able to put a handle on that.
I'll tell you what, aging or not, Al Horford just became even more indispensable to that roster. Because where's the leadership going to come from? I mean, at some point it has to come from Brown or Tatum, but neither one of them has given an indication that they're capable of that.
I agree with what you just said.
Which is a problem. Certainly long term.
Very much so.
But I mean, what else are you gonna do? But I'll tell you what.
They wanted Porzingis that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. They also want to keep Horford, but not play him 35 minutes a night.
Right.
This will help alleviate that until Robert Williams is capable of playing more minutes.
Yeah, I think Boston probably on paper and from a talent perspective and roster versatility perspective, I think they got better. I do. I just wonder about the leadership and the gelling now. Like there's an absolute emotional void that will be created there without Marcus Smart. There's no getting around that. Who or what if anything, is going to fill that? That's really the crux of the question for me. If someone can fill that void, I think this is a good trade for Boston because Porzingis is a really good player. Right? It's easy to kind of poo-poo him a little bit, but generally speaking, if you cast him in the right role, this guy's a very good player.
He is.
And Boston desperately needed some offensive punch from their front court that they didn't have the last year or so. This is what they were looking for when they got Gallinari. Unfortunately, they never got to use him. Porzingis is obviously better and much younger than Gallinari. So this is a great move for Boston. Where does this leave the Knicks? I know Porzingis was sort of the apple of the eye of some Knicks fans. And I have to tell you, I thought it was a good fit too. Now that's not going to be an option. The Knicks have to improve themselves. The Wizards are obviously blowing it up. So I would make a call about Kyle Kuzma if I was New York.
The Wizards got a lot of people back in that trade.
They did.
It was like end of the bench guys.
Yeah, they're reshaping their roster, I should
I
say it
think
that way.
the best player the Wizards got back.
Well, it was Jordan Poole.
Well, I'm talking about in this trade
Oh.
is Tyus Jones.
Yes, I got you. Yep.
Everybody else, and Gallinari at one time. Now's not that time. Do you know that behind Davis, Steven Adams, Giannis, Kristaps Porzingis was the fourth best pick and roll defender in the NBA as far as points allowed per pick and roll?
No, I didn't know that. But
And that's that reach and shot blocking.
Yep.
That's also going to help Boston's defense.
No question.
Plus, he's going to give Tatum and Brown a lot of room if he goes out to the line on offense. It's going to give them the lane.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. No, he helps Boston a lot. So the question remains, what does this mean for the Knicks now that Porzingis is off the board? Where do they go? Because they need to upgrade their roster. I mean, they had a good season. They have a solid roster, but you want to improve. We both agree they capped out on what their roster was physically capable of last year, and it's unlikely to improve so much organically without a new piece or two to take them any further than they got last year. So what do you do? But I don't think you blow it up because I mean, there's no reason to, if you're 3 steps away, you don't destroy the other 7 steps you're standing on. You build 3 more steps, right? Like,
Right. Well,
so
Kuzma opted out.
right. So he's available.
The Wizards can't trade him,
Right. So he's a free agent.
but they have to come up with a sign and trade because the Knicks can't afford him.
They can't just sign him straight away. I wonder how many teams even have salary cap space to just make a free agent signing.
Who's best at circumventing the cap in the league?
Leon Rose is great at that.
Yeah, I mean, if you got someone that can circumvent the cap, yeah, the Wizards got Tyus Jones, Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and a second-round pick. Outside of Jones, that's nothing.
Right.
Now, the Grizzlies gave the Celtics 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted Marcus Smart that bad. Why? Because Morant's out, number 1. And 2, when Morant gets back, you're still going to need the leadership.
You need the leadership. You need another defensive guard because they've said they're not bringing back Brooks, which, Smart now fills that role and he's better. Brooks might be a few years younger, but Smart's not old by any stretch. He's probably just 30, maybe he's still in his late 20s. I'd have to look.
It's less than 30.
Yeah. So, this is a good this is a good upgrade. And you know what? We were talking about the cultural loss for Boston. I mean, I think Smart brings a certain cultural toughness anywhere he goes, but the city of Memphis and their kind of the way their team is always built, this fits like a glove. If I was gonna pick places that Marcus Smart should just slide into and could fit without anyone adjusting to anyone, Memphis would have been probably the top team on my list in terms of just what the need is and what the cultural type in that market is. This is custom made for both parties. It really is.
Absolutely.
This is a great acquisition by Memphis. And to your point, you throw in those draft picks, but unlike Golden State, who's clearly going for broke the next year or two, that's why I have a little contention that 2030 pick, even if it's protected to a degree, could be somewhat valuable because Golden State at some point is going to crash because they're clearly not keeping young players. The reverse is true with Memphis. Memphis, with its roster as presently constructed, will probably be consistently competitive through the early 2030s, which would be the balance of Morant's prime. So, I mean, those draft picks are likely to be, and I didn't even see what years they're in. I think they're more recent than that. Those draft picks are almost guaranteed to be bottom of the barrel.
All the draft picks they gave up.
Yeah.
This year's
So that's
and next year's Warriors pick.
So both will be near the bottom.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think I think that this is a much better deal. I think this is a much better deal than the Warriors deal. I think the Warriors deal is, a great deal for Washington. I think the Warriors got fleeced. I think both teams to some degree benefit from this Memphis deal because Porzingis helps Boston a lot.
I agree. And Smart gives the Grizzlies something. Not only with the leadership, but also the fact if Morant does go sideways or worse,
yep,
Smart can just be there and take that role. Will it hurt them? Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Not as much.
No, right. I mean, there is a counterbalance. Now, the one concern you have with Kristaps Porzingis is his injury history. He does miss a lot of time on a regular basis, and not from load management.
Last year, and that's a good sign.
I think I'd be happy with that. If I always say, if I get 60 more games out of my main guys, I'm happy. That's sort of my threshold. But obviously not all games are created equal. If he misses 25 games between October and December, that's much more agreeable than missing those same games in April and May, obviously. Right. So I think that that's going to be something, but that's everywhere. So I think that's a good trade. I think the Warriors had good for the Wizards. They got themselves a guy who will be I'll make a prediction right now, in Washington next year with the roster he's likely to have around him. He's going to be completely untethered. Jordan Poole's going to average 25 a game or greater next year. He'll be between 25 and 28 points a game next year. I'm going to make that prediction right now. This guy has that kind of talent, and now he's going to be given the green light and the agency to do it. Now, I'm not going to say that that's going to translate to a lot of Washington wins. Teams have to learn how to win, and it takes more than one isolation scorer to do that. But I think Jordan Poole will be among the league leaders in scoring per game next year. I do believe that.
Well, there won't be many veterans to piss off in the locker room, so that's a good start.
Yeah, well, as long as it's Draymond Green that I'm pissing off, he stays pissed off. He's like, rolls out of bed that way.
Yeah, but Poole was pissing off a lot of Warriors vets.
Well, that's because they're all boys with Draymond. It all stems from that.
No, it doesn't.
Sure, it does.
It doesn't. Poole acted like a jerk this year.
Well,
players that were on his side.
I would act like a jerk too if someone punched me in the face. I mean,
instead of acting like a jerk towards all your teammates, punch back.
I mean, I would have done that too, probably, but
I don't buy acting like a jerk to teammates who didn't do
anything. I think I put that breakup squarely on Draymond Green. And I think the Warriors are foolish to side with him over a 20-something with that kind of ability. I think it's absolute lunacy, but this is the path they're taking. I mean, and the one thing I'll give them credit for, if you're going to take a path, go all in with it. clearly they're going all in with the win now path. So, good for them. I don't think it's going to work. I think Chris Paul is a win never type of player. I think if he was going to win, it would have happened by now. If he wins, it's going to be as a Gary Payton in Miami type. He's not going to be a useful piece.
If he wins, he's going to win as a bench guy.
Right. He's going to be Gary Payton in Miami, Jason Williams in Miami. He's going to be that type of player, which, at that point, you could be any number of other guys could do the same job. So, but, they are going all in with this win now veteran strategy. And hey, that's the road they're taking. So there you go. All right, let's take a break. We got the question of the day. We got 2 bombers today, 2 and 1, which will be a lot of fun. We have Peyton and Mackenzie both coming on at 4:30 together. Then we'll have Joe Vasile of the Renegades in his weekly spot. But next is the question of the day. This is the Gary Ayd Show, back after this here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Saudi investors are going to compensate PGA loyalists. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391, 800-438-1391, 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Major PGA Tour players like Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy turned down hundreds of millions of dollars from LIV Golf to stay loyal to the PGA. That loyalty lost a lot of warm fuzzies after Saudi Arabia's public investment fund announced its shock merger with the PGA Tour. Saudi investors are working to mitigate the fallout by financially rewarding those players who stood by the PGA via the creation of a compensation fund. Question: do you think the PGA's merger with LIV does or does not warrant a Justice Department investigation?
Oh, absolutely. We've talked about, we were ahead of the curve on this one, like by weeks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Now I am happy to hear that people who basically towed the company line, so to speak, for the PGA may receive some compensation for doing so. That to me was small potatoes in this. It wasn't a chief concern of mine, but it was something that I took notice of, that, if I was working for that company, just trying to put myself in those shoes, and I had kind of taken that stand and stood by my company only to be merged with the company I was standing against in favor of mine, I would have been annoyed too. So I think it's the appropriate thing to do from a, kind of a management standpoint. Now, the key is, and the technicality of it all is, of course, we'll see if this changes with the merger, but golfers who compete on the PGA Tour are independent contractors and always have been. So, you're not technically an employee, so you're not really entitled to anything. But as a matter of practicing good faith partnership, it seems like the reasonable right thing to do. But, that aside, I just wanted to acknowledge that the crux of the issue, the question, should they be investigating? Oh God, yeah. Like, and it's not so much the P's and Q's of the permissibility of the merger. That with the right lawyering and legal wording and maneuvering will happen no matter what. That's not the concern. The concern is, and this is harder to ascertain, but it's much more key. What is the intention of the Saudi investment fund for making this investment? What was their real goal to begin with? They didn't just wake up one day and it's like, you know what? We want to be the golf people. No. They're using this to achieve some other type of end goal. This is a vehicle, not a destination. Anyone who pays attention to world politics or just world business knows that you don't make investments like this usually just for the sake of it. If you're looking to just gain money, you invest in non-personal, non-time consuming, easy to buy things like mutual funds and faceless, nameless real estates through various, faceless, nameless LLCs and things like that, holding companies. You don't buy a very public, very, well-known sporting league, or you don't merge with one, as to be more precise with my wording, unless you're trying to attain something with the celebrity and cultural access that such an acquisition or merger brings you entree into. That's the only reason you're going to do this. So it's not about making money. But it might be positioned that way with the legal wording of the paperwork, but that's not what needs to be investigated. What's the actual motive, and how do we protect American interests from any type of ulterior, nefarious motive from a country that we have long and not pretty history with, including relatively recent history, the country that funded 9/11. That needs to be the focus of any investigation.
Well, I totally agree. I have no idea how far they're going to take the investigation. And I have no idea how far they're going to stray with this investigation off of golf. And that's my biggest concern.
No, that's a good concern. It's going to be, and I think the following of this is going to transition from the sports pages and the sports shows to the news pages and the news shows, because this is going to become more of a political story and less of a sports story as it evolves. That's what I believe.
I don't think there's any choice in that happening.
Oh no, it has to, right? If what we're talking about is to come to pass, then that will follow. It has to, like you just said. Absolutely, you're right. It has to. There's no other way it would go. So, there you go. Very interesting stuff. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk with our Bombers. That's next. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, and joining me now are two of our OC Bomber Players of the Week. Really sort of a coronation for both, graduating high school and kind of moving on to bigger and better things. We want to talk with Peyton and Mackenzie. What's going on, ladies? Hello.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good. We're good.
Awesome. Peyton, I want to start with you. Kind of take me through your Bombers journey. Share whatever memories or stories you may have had through your years of involvement with the organization.
So I've been on the team for, I don't know, I think since I was in 6th or 7th grade. I'm now a senior. And honestly, this team has just become like a second family to me, with a bunch of great memories, laughs from all our tournaments. We've really grown into a great big family.
That's awesome. And Mackenzie, what about you?
I've only been on the Bombers for 2 years now, but the previous teams that I've played for, it just wasn't the same. Like, Coach Dave is great, and all the girls are great, and like Peyton said, we are like a family.
That's very cool. Now, did you two know each other prior to the Bombers?
No.
So you guys met. Were you guys teammates right from the beginning, or how did that happen? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you, Mackenzie, you're graduating from which high school?
Livingston Manor.
Okay. And what about you, Peyton?
I'm graduating from Goshen Central High School.
I'm a Goshen graduate myself.
Oh, really? That's cool.
A number of years ago. So, all right. So you guys probably unlikely would have met if not for the Bombers then. I mean, Livingston Manor and Goshen are obviously not next door to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been, Mackenzie, we'll start with you. Has that been in just the couple of years you were associated? Have you met multiple people that you probably wouldn't have met otherwise that have become friends?
Yes, absolutely. We teammate of ours and I we played on an old team together, and we became such good friends that we both went to the Bombers together. So I'm thankful for like all the friendships that I gained from it.
Awesome. What about you, Peyton? You've been with the Bombers a lot longer? Have you met a bunch of people that have become like outside of softball friends?
Oh, totally. Some of these girls on the team I call some of my best friends. We've met so many people through what we call the softball world. So Bombers has really like shown us a lot more people.
That's tremendous. Now, what are your Peyton, we'll stay with you for a minute. What are your immediate plans upon graduation?
I am going up to UA Albany, where I will be majoring in psychology.
Excellent. Are you going to try to continue playing?
Most likely not. I'll probably play club ball up there,
Okay.
but Albany's D1, so I wasn't planning on it.
Got it. What about you, Mackenzie?
I will be playing for SUNY Oswego, and I'll be majoring in criminal justice.
Well, this is hilarious. So Peyton is soon to be an alumni of my high school, and assuming you finish your 4 years at Oswego, you will be alumni of my college.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's funny.
That is really hilarious.
So did you like the school?
I did. I liked it a lot, as a matter of fact. One thing though, I'll give you, it's a little late now, but I'll give you some warning. Whenever they did those campus tours for prospective new students, they definitely hoodwink people because they're always on like perfect 72-degree days with breezy sun coming from the lake. And I'm telling you, that's not true. That's a false flag.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, believe me, it's true. I remember one time I was coming back from, do you know which building you're going to be staying in yet?
Oneida Hall.
Oneida. Okay, so the main dining hall there by you will be Pathfinder. And I lived on the other side of campus over by like Sheldon and Riggs and stuff. But I was over that side one day with some of my basketball buddies. And we had dinner. We walked in, me and my friend walked in at 7:00, so late night. And there was nothing on the ground. It wasn't snowing. We walked out at 8:30. There was 1.5 feet of snow on the ground in an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So that's what you're in for. Yeah, that's what you're
Yeah, I
in for.
can't wait.
Okay, good. Oh, that's really funny. Bringing this back to the Bombers. Do either of you, Mackenzie, we'll start with you. Do either of you have intentions on maybe when you're back from school or whatever on breaks of maybe helping out with coaching or staying involved in the organization in any way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would love to. I coached like a little league team last year and I loved it. So if there's any chance I could, I would love that.
What about you, Peyton?
Definitely. I've always like loved being like a leader and like someone to like help coach and everything. So I'd love to come back, and I'm sure I will. I'm so close with so many people in the Bomber organization, so I can definitely see myself coming back.
Let's take this on the field now, just as a brief kind of like bio of both of you. Peyton, we'll start with you. What positions have you played throughout most of your softball time with the Bombers and elsewhere?
So I've been catching since I was like 6 or 7 in Little League, and with Bombers, I caught, and then I started playing outfield, and I'm playing second as well now.
So pretty much every place.
Yeah, I'm very much of a utility player. The only position I don't play is pitcher.
Understood. What about you, Mackenzie?
I pitch a little bit, but I mostly play outfield, like center field mostly.
Okay, mostly center.
Yep.
What's been, Mackenzie, what's been the biggest on-field, maybe either tactic or trick or technique or something to do with the actual play of the game that in your couple years at the Bombers maybe you picked up that you weren't aware of or maybe hadn't practiced as much prior to?
I think mostly like the communication. Like I think our team is really good at communicating like where the ball needs to go, when it needs to go there. So that's one thing that I like appreciate from the Bombers.
What about you, Peyton? Same question.
Yeah, similar to what Mackenzie's saying, but kind of thinking like prior to the ball being pitched, like different scenarios that's going to happen, like for your own personal position, like, or if this happens, I have to do this, just thinking of, game strategy, what you're going to do.
Possible outcomes, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Now, what about how much in your last couple of years that you're in the older age brackets of the organization, how much, if any, were you involved, Peyton, in maybe, even if it was informally helping some of the younger age brackets? Is there a lot of like intermingle at the facility between the age groups?
Oh yeah, definitely. During the winter, we have like hitting practices and then like pitching, catching practices where some of the age groups are even combined. I know from the pitching and catching practices, sometimes I'd be asked to help out like coaching there and like helping out the little kids and everything, teaching them techniques with catching. So, yeah.
What about you, Mackenzie? Have you done some of that stuff too?
I haven't really got the chance to do that because I live so far away.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't go down there just for practice.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're way up in the mountains there.
Yeah.
Last thing for both of you, we'll start with you, Mackenzie. If you can give me a funny or fun or memorable story, either from like a road trip or a particular game or series that you remember from your time with the organization that is going to be sort of a lasting memory for you, what would that be?
This is kind of really corny, but Coach Dave always
Love
wears
cornies.
flip flops in the summer,
Okay.
and he'll try to pinch up with his toes, and it's hilarious.
That's
My
great.
God.
That's great. So he tries to pitch in flip flops.
Yes.
Wow, that's hilarious. Oh, that's really funny. What about you, Peyton?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. There's so many stories that our team is constantly laughing. We are all so close that I can't even think of just one. Our team's just so like we just are always laughing.
Wow. What's gonna be the biggest thing you're gonna miss?
Definitely the girls. I mean, like I'm not coming back. I mean, I'm not playing next year.
Right.
So there wasn't really like much point in me playing travel this year, but this team is literally like I call my second family. And these girls and even the coaches too. Coach Dave is like my second father. They're the reason I came back, and I couldn't imagine like not coming back without them.
Mackenzie?
Same exact thing. The girls are just great, and the coaches, like you have a problem, you go to them, you can talk to them about anything, and it's just really, it's a good team atmosphere.
That's cool. So hey, both of you, enjoy your any last any left cliffhanging stuff with the Bombers left. Do you have any games before you move on, or what's the rest of the year look like for you, Mackenzie?
We have a couple more tournaments this summer. I think 4 more. So after that, we'll be off to college. But I'm gonna enjoy those while we still have them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you do the same, I'm sure, Peyton. And hey, thanks for joining me today, both of you, and best of luck in your endeavors. Now, Albany is a school that guy that I'll tell you one other funny story. So me and a friend, we had both gone to RCC for 2 years prior to transferring to Oswego. Now, I was looking to go to New Paltz because I was thinking I was going to be a history teacher. Instead, I ended up in media. But I decided that I would go to Oswego because my on-air partner from RCC, where we were doing a student radio show together, said, I'm going to Oswego. I said, okay, then I'm going to Oswego. So I never looked at the place. I never applied to the place before that. But yeah, I had a good enough GPA that I wasn't worried about getting in. So I did. And so I get there, again, purely just because of him. I had no idea even what I was in for with the weather. And then after 1 semester, he transfers to Albany to major in political science, and I end up staying for 2.5 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. So anyway, that's my only personal connection to University of Albany. So not exactly a pleasant memory, but it worked out just fine. He's happy with what he's doing. I'm happy with what I'm doing. So it was all for the best, I guess. But both of you, congratulations again. Have a great rest of your senior years with the Bombers and continued success, okay?
Thank you.
All righty. Bye, ladies. All righty.
Bye.
There we go. That is Peyton and Mackenzie, both from the Bombers. We are going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk with Joe Vasile to wrap things up. Renegades broadcaster. That's next here on the Gary Ayd Show on The Cave.
Coffee lovers, Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Dave's Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Dave's Coffee. radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Dave's Coffee.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, and we are joined now in his weekly spot by Hudson Valley Renegades broadcaster Joe Vasile, and his appearance on the show is brought to you today by Carter's Restaurant in Beacon. If you're looking for a good dinner with great atmosphere, look no further than Carter's in Beacon. It's a short drive from the stadium, in fact, probably less than 2 miles, and it is family run. As soon as you walk in the door, you will feel part of the family, and their family will be there to greet you as you walk in and say goodbye as you leave. Make sure to try their signature dish, Chicken Eugene, their specialty created by Chef Eugene Greco and taught to the chefs at Carter's, including Jonathan Lombardi, who is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America here in the greater Hudson Valley area. Carter's Restaurant is the go-to place for private events such as rehearsal dinners, cocktail parties, baby showers, and more. That is Carter's Restaurant, open every day but Wednesday. Kitchen is open from 12 to 10 every day. Sunday, 11 to 8. The bar is open even later. Mention Cave Talk Radio and get 20% off your bill, except during happy hour. That's Carter's Restaurant, where your family is treated like family by theirs. All righty. Welcome Joe Vasile aboard. What's up, Joe? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I got to get over there and take advantage of that deal.
I'm telling you, man, it's good stuff. I'm going there with my wife and I. We're going on the 30th for some dinner, and then we're going to come to the, I believe you guys are home that night. I have to look at the schedule. But
yes, we are.
Yeah, so I'm doing a double dip that night, dinner at Carter's and then the game over at Heritage Financial Field. So you guys have been I saw an email today, playoff tickets are on sale.
Yep. Just clinched the playoffs on Tuesday with a big win down in Brooklyn. Team almost threw a no-hitter. I mean, it was 1 out in the 9th inning, bouncing ball to third base. The throw was down in the dirt, and first baseman just couldn't pick it. It probably should have been an error, but it was ruled a hit, and that was the only hit that they gave up. But that didn't sour the 1-0 win for the team, and clinching a playoff spot. The champagne celebration was awesome. The night out in Brooklyn was pretty darn good too, and then bounced back yesterday with a win. And of course, like you said, playoff tickets went on sale today at noon. If you go to hvrenegades.com, you see all the information about that. Playoff tickets are very affordable, just $5 for the upper level, $10 for the lower level. We want to make sure that we can create as good of a home field advantage as possible for the playoffs. We want to get these out there and in people's hands as early as we can. First round of the playoffs, we're hosting games 2, and then if necessary, game 3 in a best-of-3 series. And then we'd host game 1 in the championship series if we win that first series. If you buy tickets for any of those if necessary games or the championship series, the Renegades don't end up playing in it. It's risk-free. We'll refund it. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we're able to get those tickets out and pack the ballpark out for when that playoff time comes around in a couple months. It's been a really good atmosphere around the team. Everyone is just really excited about it. Like, I know, look, we talk about every week how it's less about winning and more about the player development at this level. But everyone wants to win, and guys were just so thrilled and so happy. These last couple of days having gone and clinched, and you can really just feel kind of, especially on Tuesday night after the game, everyone was just walking on air and just so happy about it.
Well, no, I mean, it's totally understandable. And the team's been on a pretty good tear. I mean, going back to like the first full week of the month in that pivotal series against Jersey Shore, the team just really responded, won a bunch of games, really took care of business in that series, took care of business for most of the Rome series. I mean, this team has been playing really well. Now, you mentioned the 1-0 shutout against Brooklyn. Who felt worse about it? The third baseman for making the tough throw, or the first baseman for not picking it?
I think it's more the first baseman for not picking it. Although I think the more the anger was directed toward the official score. I mean, the guy was out by 3 steps. If the ball gets picked cleanly, I think it's one of those things where, like, yeah, I think everyone realizes that it was probably an error, and in any other ballpark, it probably would have been called that. But overall, it was no one felt too badly about it, just because kind of mission accomplished with securing a playoff spot and all that. And you're absolutely right. This is a team that had some business to take care of, and they went out and did it. I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, just playing really well, peaking at the right time. And the first half ends tonight. It's the last game of the half. Everyone's 0-0 tomorrow again, so it's kind of an opportunity to get a fresh start and just try to go ahead and do it again. I mean, they've already clinched the best record in the South Atlantic League in the first half. Like, no other team is going to be able to match their winning percentage or their win total for the first half. It's just been a really good team. We've talked about some of the ups and downs, but again, just peaking at the right time here down the stretch of the half and getting themselves into the playoffs.
No, it's been an exciting first half of the season. There's no question. Now, is there an advantage to qualifying for the playoffs in both halves, or do you get anything special for excelling throughout the entire calendar season, or how's that work?
So you don't get anything special. What it ends up being then there's just like a wild card spot where, like, the team with the second best record ends up becoming the second playoff team. So that's kind of how that all works. You don't get like a first round bye or something like that. Okay. Which is it's fine by us in a way of, like, you don't want to have a 5 or 6 day break between games. That can be always a little bit awkward. But obviously the advantage is you want to win the first half, because then that you have home field advantage, hosting games 2 and 3 out of the best of 3. And then also, just from a Renegades business standpoint, we can put tickets on sale early and make sure that we work to get a lot of people in the ballpark, to have a big atmosphere, as opposed to clinching late in the second half, where there might only be 1 or 2 days to spread the word that, hey, there's games going on, and try to sell tickets for that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've always been a huge fan of minor league baseball from a purely, like, local entertainment value. It's really about as good as it gets for a sports fan. I mean, whenever I come to a game out there, my wife and I go together, and typically we'll spend about $100, and we had a great time. Between the game and food and beer and parking, it's just a great value. And one thing, I was just perusing the schedule. I noticed that this is your first road trip to Brooklyn this year. Are any of the players maybe checking out New York City for the first time? Have you heard any interesting, like, oohs and ahs, or like stories from people who maybe have not been to New York City before?
Yeah, that's definitely been something that's been happening this week. I know some guys have taken some day trips down on off days to this city, and it's been kind of their first New York experiences. But some of the guys who haven't done that yet, especially on the bus ride in on Tuesday morning, they were like, "Oh, there's the Empire State Building. There's the Statue of Liberty." Like, pointing out all the big kind of touristic. Yeah, we drove by Hudson Yards, down
by the Bowery there, all the way downtown.
Yeah. And people are like, "What is that thing over there?" It's just like, it's a thing where Instagram people go and take pictures in front of.
That's right.
But no, like, there's definitely been a lot of, like, people talking about, like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go take the train in and go walk around Times Square and stuff like that." Kind of do those typical New York touristy things. There's some guys who are like, "Man, I can't imagine living here. This is going to be so tough." The kind of things that I think all of us think sometimes when we're in New York City. Like, man, I love visiting, but man, I don't think I could live here all the time.
I've thought that my whole life, Joe. There's
been some of that, but it's been really cool to see the guys kind of soaking in the city and all that it has to offer.
That's really cool. Now, you grew up in the general tri-state area. Where are you originally from, Joe?
Originally from Paramus in North
Okay.
Jersey.
All right. So you're like me. We grew up in the general vicinity. You even closer to myself. I grew up in Goshen, right here in Orange County, and so I'm kind of like, it always is interesting to me when I hear about New York City from the standpoint of like a international destination, which intellectually I know it is, but it's just a city to me. You know, it's different. It's just like
it's the city,
right?
Yeah.
Like it's always interesting. So you guys got Brooklyn, you're middle of that series right now, won the first 2 games, you got 3 more before coming home again to end the month against Wilmington. Give me the pitching matchup tonight. What are we looking at on the mountain tonight when you take the field in a couple hours?
Tonight Brooklyn's got a really intriguing prospect, one of the kind of sleeper pitching prospects in the Mets system. Guy by the name of Tyler Stewart going to the mound tonight. He's really good. We saw him when he
call him up.
At Heritage Financial Park. Yeah, last they might need him.
Call him up.
Yeah, when they were up, he pitched really well against us at Heritage Financial Park. And then we've got Joel Valdez going tonight, lefty with some really fun and electric stuff. So it should be a nice matchup here tonight. Hopefully the weather holds out. It's one of those weird things, like, depending on what weather app you're looking at, there's either a 5% chance of rain all night or there's a 70% chance of rain all night.
One or the other.
Hopefully the one that says 5% is the right one. And if not, hey, it is what it is. But hopefully the weather hangs off and we'll be in good shape for this one tonight. Because it should be a really, really fun game. To wrap up the half and just kind of a nice way to say, like, all right, we got the mission done in the first half, and tomorrow kind of wipe the slate clean, and we're all set to go about it again.
See, I should have just gone into meteorology, man. If I could be that off and still have my job, that's the best job in the world. There's a chance of rain. Hey, I could be right. It could be better, right? 5%, 70%, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's never stopped Colin Cowherd.
That's true. That's very true. It's very true. Oh, man. I think that's a good way to end today. Have a good call tonight, man. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks so much, Gary. We'll talk soon.
All right, Joe. Thanks. Oh, what a dig on the way out the door to Colin Cowherd. Man, Rich.
Oh, it's not like he's never been wrong.
No, that's very true.
Everybody.
I tell you what, these Renegades have been a blast all season long to watch. This, I mean, like Joe alluded to, it's not mission critical for single A to be good per se. Certainly not even like really an important mission for the players. Obviously, everyone's there trying to move up. But from a local fan standpoint, it's a nice bonus. And even for the fans, it's not super important that the team's good because you're just kind of going there for a night on the town, so to speak, and just to enjoy an atmosphere. But it's certainly more enjoyable when the games are action-packed, and when you have a good team, they tend to be so more often. And this team has been fun all year, and it's really been a lot of fun to cover.
Oh, you know how I feel about minor league baseball.
It's the best sport in America for going to. If you're going to the game, physically going to be there in person, there's no better atmosphere in all of professional sports than minor league baseball.
Very, very true.
It's a fact. Well, hey, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Good stuff today. Great job by Peyton and Mackenzie there. Good job by Joe Vasile of the Renegades. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see what else happens between now and then with the NBA. You got the NBA draft coming up, so that's going to be fun. So we'll be on it. We'll see you tomorrow. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.